Good morning, my dear students of second secondary. Today's lesson is called The Resultant of Coplanar Forces, and this lesson is given only for scientific section. Let's start. The resultant of coplanar forces meeting at a point. Here in the opposite figure, find the magnitude of R of the given forces meeting at the origin point O. To find the resultant of the coplanar forces, in this figure there are three different forces, 8 Newton and 5 root 2 and 3. You should arrange the forces firstly 8 and 5 root 2 and 3, and you should write the angle between each force and the positive direction of x-axis. The angle between the force 8 and the positive x-axis direction equals 0, and the angle between the force 5 root 2 and the positive x-axis direction equals 45 degrees. Also, the angle between the force 3 and the positive x-axis direction equals 90. Then the x component, you should find the x component and the y component of these forces. The x component can be calculated by the value of the force multiplied by cosine the angle calculated before. 8 multiplied by cosine angle 0 plus 5 root 2 multiplied by cosine 45 plus 3 multiplied by cosine 90 equals 13. And y component equals 8 multiplied by sine 0 plus 5 root 2 multiplied by sine 45 plus 3 multiplied by sine 90, and this value equals 8. Then the resultant of these forces are equals the square root of x power 2 plus y power 2. The square root of 13 squared plus 8 squared equals root 233. And the direction of the resultant equals 10 theta. And you know that tan angle equals sine over cosine equals y over x. Then tan angle theta equals 8 over 13. And measure of angle theta equals shift 10, 8 over 13 equals 31 degree, 36 minutes and 27 seconds. Take care. Here, both x and y are positive values. Remember that. In the first quad, then the measure of angle theta, here for this example, angle theta is an acute angle because the cosine, both the cosine and the sine are positive. In the first quad, x is a positive value, also y is a positive value. In the second quad, x is negative and y positive. In the third quad, both values are negative, and also in the fourth quad, the x component is positive and the y component is negative. Another example. In the opposite figure, find the magnitude of R of the given forces meeting at the origin point. Here, there are three forces. The first force equals 3, and the measure of the angle between this force and the positive x direction equals 180. And the second force 4 root 3, and the measure of this angle and the positive x direction equals 270. Also, the last force 2 root 3, and the measure of the angle between this force and the positive x direction equals 330 degrees. Take care, you find the measure of the angle between the force and the positive x direction. Then the x component equals 3 multiplied by cosine 180 plus 4 root 3 multiplied by cosine 270, also 2 root 3 multiplied by cosine 330. And the y component equals, therefore x component equals 0. And y component equals negative 5 root 3. How can I calculate the y component? 3 multiplied by sine 180 plus 4 root 3 multiplied by sine 270 and 2 root 3 multiplied by sine 330. Then y component equals negative 5 root 3 and the x component equals 0. Here the resultant value equals the square root of x power 2 plus y power 2. 0 squared plus negative 5 root 3 squared equals 5 root 3. And the tan theta equals negative 5 root 3 over 0. Here, the tan of angle theta is undefined value. Take care. There are two angles, their tan is undefined. 90 degree and 270 degree. Since y component is negative, therefore measure of angle theta equals 270 degree. Therefore, the resultant of these forces, acts in the negative y direction. Measure angle theta equals 270 and the resultant acts in the negative y direction. Another example, 3 coplanar forces of magnitudes 66, 88 and 60 Newton. The first acts towards the north direction and the second acts in 30 degrees south of the west and the third in direction 30 degrees south of east. Find R and its direction. Take care. The first acts towards north direction and the second in direction 30 degrees south of the west. Take care. The angle 30 degrees should be written beside the second word, south of the west. Here 30 degrees should be written between the fourth and the west direction. And the last one, 30 degrees south of the east, then I write 30 degrees between the fourth and the east direction. The first step, I write the value, the magnitude of each force and the measure of the angle between the fourth direction and the positive x direction. The first force is 66 and the angle between the fourth and the positive x-axis equals 90 degrees. Also the second one is 88 and the measure of the angle between this force and the positive x direction equals 210. And the last one 60 Newton and the measure of the angle between this force and the positive x-axis equals 330. Here the x component equals 66 multiplied by cosine 90 plus 88 multiplied by cosine 210, also plus 60 multiplied by cosine 330. Then the x component equals negative 14 root 3. Also y component equals 66 multiplied by sine 90 plus 88 multiplied by sine 210 plus 60 multiplied by sine 330. And here y component equals negative 8. Take care, x component is negative, also y component is negative, then the resultant direction will be in the third quad. Measure angle theta will be in the third quad. R equals the square root negative 14 root 3 squared plus negative 8 squared equals 2 multiplied by square root 163. And the direction tan theta equals y over x equals negative 8 over negative 14 root 3 equals 18 degree, 15 minutes and 31 seconds. This value is wrong. Take care. angle theta in the third quad. Therefore, measure of angle theta equals 180 as it is written by using the PowerPoint. 180 plus 18 degree 15 minutes 31 seconds. It will be 198 15 minutes 31 seconds. Another example. ABCDEF is a regular hexagon. The forces of magnitudes 8 and 6 root 3, 5 and 4 root 3 acts on AB, AC, AD, AF. Find the magnitude and the direction of their resultant. Here, the figure is a regular hexagon, and there are 4 forces acting in the direction of AB, AC, AD, and AF. The value of the first force equals 8, and the second force equals 6 root 3. Also, the third force equals 5, and the last force equals 4 root 3, and its direction is the direction of AF. The measure of each angle of a regular hexagon equals n minus 2 multiplied by 180 over n equals 120. Here, 8 and the measure of the angle equals 0, 6 root 3 and the angle equals 30 degree, the force 5 and the measure of the angle between AD and the positive x direction equals 30 plus 30 equals 60. The last force 4 root 3 and the measure of the angle between the last force direction, which is AE, and the positive x direction AX equals 90 degree. Take care, the angle 120, the angle 120, which is the measure of angle A, is divided into 4 equal angles. Each of them equals 30 degree. The next step, I will find the x component and y component. X component 8 cosine 0 plus 6 root 3 cosine 30 plus 5 cosine 60 plus 4 root 3 cosine 90. Here x component equals 19.5. Also y component equals 8 sine 0 plus 6 root 3 sine 30 plus 5 sine 60 plus 4 root 3 sine 90. Here y component equals 16.45. Then r equals the square root of 19.5 squared plus 16.45 squared equals 25.5 Newton. Here tan theta equals 40 degree, 9 minutes and 2 seconds. The direction can be calculated again by find tan theta, by calculating tan theta, which equals y over x. Take care, both values are positive values. 16.45 divided by 19.5. Then I will take the shift tan. I will calculate shift tan. These values, shift tan, tan inverse 16.45 over 19.5. Here measure of angle theta equals 40 degree, 9 minutes and 2 seconds. Take care, both x and y components are positive values. Therefore, angle theta is an acute angle located in the first quadrant. The resultant as a vector can be written as 19.5i plus 16.45j. ABCD, another example. ABCD is a square of side 12 centimeter and H belongs to BC, where BH equals 5 centimeters. Forces of 2, 13, 14 root 2, 9 acts in the direction AB, AH, CA and AD. Find the magnitude of the resultant. Here is a square ABCD, and the side length of this square equals 12. H belongs to BC, where BH equals 5. Forces of 2, 13, 14, root 2, and 9 act in direction AB, AH, CA, and AD as given in the example. Triangle AHB is right-angled triangle AB. Take care, AH equals the square root of 5 power 2 plus 12 power 2 equals 13 centimeter. Sine angle ABH, sine angle BAH equals 5 over 13, and the cosine angle BAH equals 12 over 13. Since AC is a diagonal of the square, therefore angle alpha equals 45 degree. Therefore, measure of angle alpha equals 45. X component equals 2 cosine 0 plus 13 multiplied by cosine angle BAH plus 9 multiplied by cosine 90 plus 4 root 2 multiplied by cosine 225. Then X component equals 10. Also Y component equals 2 multiplied by sine 0 plus 13 multiplied by sine angle BAH plus 9 sine 90 plus 4 root 2 sine 225. Here R as a vector can be written as 10I plus 10J. Therefore, the resultant equals the square root of 10 power 2 plus 10 power 2 equals 10 root 2 gram weight. Then tan theta equals Y over X. 10 divided 10 equals 1. Here, X is a positive value, Y is a positive value, therefore angle theta is an acute angle in the first equation. Angle theta equals the shift tan 1 equals 45 degree. Or X due to AC, the direction of the resultant is the same direction of the diagonal AC. Again, the measure of the angle between, I write the value of each force, the force 2, and its angle equals 0 degree. And the second force is 13, and its angle, I name it as BAH. And the third force equals 14 root 2, and its angle equals, this angle equals 180 degree. Measure of angle alpha equals 45 degree. This is alpha 45 degree. They are vertically opposite angles. Therefore, this angle also equals 45 degree. Then the measure of the angle between the force of 14 root 2 and the positive x direction equals 200. 180 plus 45 equals 225 degree. And the last force is 9, and the measure of the angle between this force and the positive x direction equals 90 degree. It is calculated as 4 root 2 this force equals 4 root 2, not 14 root 2. Here are the 4 forces, and these are the measure of the angles between each force and the positive x direction. Then the resultant equals 10I plus 10J as a vector. The resultant magnitude is 10 root 2, and the direction of the resultant is 45 degree, or x due to the direction of the diagonal AC. Thank you.